Going once, going twice, sold. You're listening to the Property Pod.
All right. I'm back on deck with the Property Pod. It's me, Aaron, and I've got my team, J-Mac and Paddy Berry. You guys tried to take over the studio without me last week.
We did.
And it was hard. I always think, I look across the desk every week and I think, far out, Aaron's doing nothing. What is he doing?
It's like,
Now I realise he actually is the glue that holds this show together.
It's that moment, mother of God.
Well, look, I got back and I was like, I wonder what this is going to be like to edit together and put together. And I was quite surprised. You did a really good job.
I reckon the two guys last week sitting across the table from John and I must have thought we looked like deers in front of headlights. We were just like...
It was a good episode. I liked it. The guys at Ronald Young were, that was a really good listen. I quite enjoyed it.
Well, that's it. Yeah. But it gets better because we're going to keep the interviews rolling today, I believe, as.
Yeah. We've got Toby Balazs from realestateview.com.au. So he's CEO, I think, of the portal there.
Yep, he's the man in charge. So it should be pretty exciting to get him on the mics. So what we might do, if that's all right, is I think we should grab a coffee, set up the recording with the phone and get into it.
Let's do it!
414 Real Estate has been operating within the northern suburbs of Hobart since 2006 with their innovative approach to marketing and managing your property. They have all your property needs covered. Find out more by visiting them today at 414.com.au.
We have Toby Balazs from realestateview.com. Toby, you there on the line?
I am here, absolutely.
Excellent, mate. Thanks so much for giving us some of your time. I know it's pretty busy this time of year.
Pleasure, no problem at all. Thanks for having me on.
Just before we get started, could you just let us know a little bit about yourself, how you're involved in the real estate industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been involved in the property portal space for just over 15 years now. I worked at REA Group for over 13 years and joined Real Estate View in July last year. So, a fair bit of experience in the property portal space and absolutely love both digital and property. So it's perfect for me.
So, hey, Toby, Patrick here. So a lot of people might not realise, but you're basically top dog there from what we understand?
The big cheese.
Yeah.
The big cheese, as John likes to say.
That's the people around the office that probably wouldn't agree with that. But, yes, apparently that's the title. So, joined the CEO in July last year and absolutely loving it. It's a great place to work. We're the number 3 property portal, but with big growth plans, big growth aspirations. Yeah, it's exciting.
So whereabouts are you based out of?
Head office for us is in Richmond, in Victoria. So we actually just moved here in May this year. So we were previously based in Hawthorn East, but this is Richmond Cremorne is the sort of digital hub of Melbourne, if not Australia. So we moved the office here and, it's a great place to work. And as we look to sort of grow and expand the team, we thought this was a good place to be.
Yeah, fantastic.
And you've got the premiership down there as well, so you must be happy with that.
Well, I'm actually a Pies man, but...
we're not all perfect.
Quick way to sort out who likes you and who doesn't. Tell them who you're married for. So there you go.
From what we can understand as well is that you've been in the industry for quite some time. It's always been in the property portal space. How have you evolved in the industry?
Yeah, sure. So, look, prior to being in the property portal space, I lived and worked overseas in the UK and Ireland, and that was, again, in digital and telco. So, I suppose my background's always been in that sort of tech space. When I returned from the UK, as I said, sort of started working at realestateview.com.au and was there for many, many years. So, the last 15 years has been all about property and all about digital. And as I sort of mentioned, I just love both of those two elements. The property industry is so dynamic, so interesting. You can't go for very long talking to anyone without the topic of property being raised. So it's in the Australian psyche, if you will, and in the digital space, which has grown so much over the past 10 to 15 years, changed rapidly, changed the way people search and look for property. It's great to be involved in that area as well.
Well, that's exactly right. You would have seen a lot of change over the last sort of 10 or 15 years in the digital space when it comes to real estate marketing. What are some of the big things that you've seen change over that time?
Look, obviously there's been a shift from print to digital, so the ability to put in your search parameters for exactly what you're after and to be able to narrow down your property search through digital portals is probably the main one. Print certainly still serves very much a role in the overall advertising mix, but that's probably been a pretty big change over the last 10 to 15 years. And indeed, email alerts and the ability to just set up a profile for the sort of property that you're looking for and to have those emailed to you on a daily basis. So as a consumer or a property buyer, you're always acutely aware of what's happening in the markets you're interested in. So that's been obviously a big change over the last 10 to 15 years, and just the access to data and insights. I mean, I think most people now who are in the property hunt and are undertaking their property journey feel pretty well armed with the information that they have going in. Agents, principals, directors will always play that really crucial role in helping a buyer meet a seller and vice versa. But I think if you look at how well armed consumers are with data and insights around the property markets they're interested in, that's been a significant shift over the past sort of 10 to 15 years.
The way you described that then, it just made me think you used to go out searching for property, but now properties kind of find you. It's an amazing way that all that data can be collated, and as you say, the emails will come out, but it's the properties are finding the consumer rather than the consumer finding the product.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, I think people still, when they're undertaking their property hunt, will probably typically cast the net fairly broadly. It's a big decision, probably one of the biggest investments you'll ever make. So people are always interested in looking at what's going on sort of fairly broadly in that market. But when they go out and conduct their property search, when they start to narrow in, there's so much information there available to them. And as you say, the properties come to them rather than having to undertake the same way they used to search is a significant change in I suppose the whole industry and the property journey of consumers. But I think we can't forget the huge role that agents play in that extra level of, I suppose, detail and analysis and really bridging the gap between data and sentiment to get a property transaction occurring. And that's where we're acutely aware of the changes in the industry and the growth that we can help support in terms of the digital platforms. But we're always looking to work very, very closely with our agent partners to make sure that the service that we provide is supporting them in how they sort of keep the industry moving ahead.
Yeah, I've noticed myself over the years that a lot of agents used to get, I guess, frustrated with the amount of information that started to flow through to consumers because agents feel like they were losing control, I guess. For me, though, I'm just wondering if other agents see it this way as well now, that it's actually a benefit to me now because people are a little bit more educated. It actually makes the sale process and the vendor listing process that little bit easier because people are not having unrealistic expectations about what is achievable on their particular property.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's when you get such a seismic shift in terms of how people search for properties and the information that they have at their fingertips, and obviously there's going to be a little bit of an opportunity to adapt to that change. But I completely agree with you. I think it also probably made the transaction process a little bit quicker too, from people being more educated, having that data and insights. They're more equipped to make a decision, whether that be bringing a property to market as a vendor or as a prospective buyer. And I think agents have adapted very well to that, to understand that, yes, they're going to be very well armed with information, they're going to be educated. But as I said, I think there's always that crucial role that the agent plays between the data and insights that you can access through portals like ours, and then the sentiment of a buyer and understanding, the detail of how you can actually get that transaction to occur.
Yeah, sure.
Because every property pretty much is unique. So, there's data and insights that can give you macro level and even right the way down to sort of individual street level data, but each individual property in that street will have some uniqueness to it, and that's where agents, I think, play a crucial role in helping meet the buyer and the seller.
Yeah, and I think that human interaction, real estate will always require that, even still. And I think we might have mentioned this before, but people will buy on emotion and justify with logic. And I guess where the element of like the internet is covering, it covers all the logical elements, so that finally people can then connect deeper with the property because all their peripheral questions are covered. Now it's their gut is like, oh, do I really want this, or do I really, or don't I? And I guess connection that an agent can still play in that sense enables the person to connect better emotionally with a property than they would just by scrolling through photos. And I guess that's where the human element still plays such an important role.
Oh, it plays a huge role, and I don't see that changing, even in the next 5 to 10 years, because I think, as you say, the human element, the emotional component of buying property will always be there. And the ability for the agent to sort of help that process come to fruition is hugely important in, as you say, sort of balancing between the data and the insights and the emotional side of a property purchase.
Well, then in our industry, we've got, there's always competition amongst agents. And like you said, you're in the portal space. So you're competing on probably the biggest playing field there is, which is just, internet platforms. Where do you see the website moving towards now, Toby? Like we've just described, you've got the human element and also to the logical component, which is the information. What do you see Real Estate View doing over the next, 1 to 5 years? I don't know how far a good space of time is to look forward in terms of technology. So where do you see the website going and what enhancements are you making for the consumer?
So we're really proud to announce that we've just recently launched our new price estimator experience. Mm-hmm. So Price Estimator is a section on our site where you can go and get significant data insights and price estimates on the value of over 9 million homes in Australia. We were first to market with this product a few years ago, and we've actually evolved that product now and relaunched it under the name Price Estimator, and we're extremely proud to be partnering with CoreLogic.
Yep.
So CoreLogic, in many instances, and broadly recognised as being probably the leader in property data in Australia, and so we've partnered with them. We've just integrated their very latest, what's called AVM, automated valuation model. Mm-hmm. So you can type in any residential address in Australia, 123 Smith Street, hit search, and what it will come up with is an estimated price and a confidence level for that price that's been estimated on the page. So as a vendor thinking about potentially selling your home, you can go onto that site, experience and get a gauge as to what the data says your property could be worth. If you're a home buyer and you're wanting to know about different properties perhaps in the area you're looking at, you can search properties there as well and find information, again, at an individual address level. So we feel this is a really compelling bit of data and insight for consumers to be able to do their property research, understand the value of homes, and then equally as important, get in contact with a local expert, with the local agent to verify that data, to discuss what they're after, either as a potential vendor or a potential buyer, and sort of progress that journey down to an individual property level where the agent can assist them with that approach. So that's a hugely exciting initiative for us to now have live in market, and we've already seen a huge spike in consumers accessing that information since we launched it just very, very recently.
I'm one of those people. I literally, while you're talking, jumped on to check it out and search my property. I have to say I'm really happy with the price you guys are telling me I'm going to get for it. And I may have to actually go and think about putting it up for sale.
Is that why you did the fist pump in the air?
It's like, yes. And I, as an agent, do not disagree with the price it's predicting at all.
Yeah. Well,
fantastic. We've got that one right. That's awesome.
I think it's important to note, Toby, not to understate just how valuable that information is, because we, in our respective offices are paying for all these subscriptions to get access to that information. And it's just, it's crying to know how much money's coming off your balance sheet every year just to have access to that. And as a consumer, to grab one of those reports through RP Data directly, I think you have to pay about $43 just to get that exact same information. So I think it's really important not to understate just how valuable that connection of those two databases, both with Real Estate View and RP Data, just to get that information back to the consumer is.
Yeah, look, we're really excited about it and very proud to have been able to partner with CoreLogic on this. It is hugely important when you're essentially looking to bring your property to market or you're searching to get a good understanding of the market. And, the data points that they managed to merge together to come up with these estimates is obviously very, very significant. We round that out with some demographic data on the page, sale and rental history. We look at median price growth or price estimates across the suburbs. So to have this information is hugely important. And I think, as we always look to partner with the industry, we see this as being a way in which you can probably bring people closer to a transaction. If people have more information and more data and more understanding, they're more likely to engage with a local expert, with an agent to discuss that. And so we think this is not only good for consumers, but really good for the industry as a whole as well.
One of the things then, I was browsing for, I think, properties in my area in excess of 3.2 million. I can't quite afford them yet, but I thought, why not?
Can't hurt to dream.
Yeah, it just can't hurt to dream. I think, I think my justification was like, oh, look at this one. I was like, God, if I spent $3 million, I'd be wanting a boat ramp. I'm like, Jesus, Mac. Like, Like I said,
Then you gotta ride it both.
a man can dream. Yeah, I can't. I don't know.
I love that he realises himself. Far out of an idiot.
But I mean, what are some? I mean, one of the things that surprises me every time I'll start to do this, searches. There's always functions that I don't know about. Are there any common things on Real Estate View or technologies that you've implemented that consumers don't know about that actually make their experience better, or there's a lot more resources they can access they don't know about?
Yeah, look, I think the way in which people search is there's so many parameters that you can put in a search criteria that enables you to really narrow that search down, whether it be obviously price, as you've alluded to there, suburb, bed, bath, car. There's any which way in which people can really search for properties on Real Estate View. What we try to do is, I suppose, provide opportunities for that entire journey. We've recently partnered with Macquarie Bank, and so they're our dedicated home loan provider. So as people are going through and they're searching for property, looking at what they may be able to afford, maybe that 3.2 million mansion that you got your eyes on, you can do get a lead through to Macquarie Bank or fill out a form there and speak to one of their banking specialists to understand what your capability is to be able to service that loan and potentially get a home loan and bring that closer to fruition. We've got a whole lot of information on our blog around tips and advice on buying property and the type of properties that are being searched at the moment. As we've mentioned, there's a wealth of information around property pricing and property data. So, we're all throughout our search experience, we try and provide touch points that give people more confidence to be able to progress to either listing a home or buying a home. So there's a whole host of tools throughout the site that enable people to do that and have confidence in the information, the data that they're getting. We're fortunate to have experienced massive consumer audience growth over the past 12 months of 41%. So that's telling us that people not only are accessing the information, but they're spending a lot of time on our site and really value the data and the insights that we can provide throughout that entire property journey.
I know this, even when I'm looking seriously, the speed in which I'll be looking through property is exceptionally quick. It's the demands that people are experiencing, of just changing on an almost month-to-month basis at this point. Where do you see where is Real Estate View sort of directing and trying to answer the questions of the public before they know what they're after? What is if that makes sense?
Yeah, look, it's a good question. As I said, Australians are absolutely property obsessed. If you look at just the amount of time that is consumed on our website, and I'm sure it's the same for the other portals, there's an enormous amount of investment that people put in searching properties month on month. And as you say, that it's not difficult information to access. The load times are extremely quick. We just look at our time on site per session. And I think Australians are just absolutely property obsessed. So from my point of view and looking at the consumer behaviour, it's absolutely more is better when it comes to providing information about property, when it comes to listing volume and coverage. So we're absolutely focused on providing all the information that we can for consumers and not trying to limit that. Where we can provide advice around obviously pricing that I've mentioned, or if it's how you can bring a property to market, we'll sort of augment that experience with information. But our view is that you need to just have a lot of content. It needs to load quickly. The consumer experience needs to be very, very smooth and encourage repeat visits. And that's something we spend a lot of time on, and it's a job that's never really done. The consumer experience is ever changing and ever evolving, and that's something that we spend a lot of time trying to make sure that we get right, so that then our loyal consumer base keep coming back, keep using us as a resource through their property journey.
Yeah. Speaking of accessing the information, Toby, is it something that you can only get on a desktop, or is there an app that you guys have that people can download and then find properties that way?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got an app that people can download from the App Store and use that. We've got obviously a mobile responsive site and desktop. We do see that actually our mobile site is the most used. If you look at just volume of traffic, people going information in our platform via a mobile device is I think it's about 53%. So it really is. We've seen that consistently actually, the growth of mobile usage right over the past 18 months and prior. So I don't see that changing. I think people are just so used to looking at on their mobile device and double screening and triple screening at times that that's really where we see that's going to grow. So yeah, accessible on every platform, be it an app, be it on desktop or via mobile.
I know one of the features I like that comes with with your app is the heat map feature. It seems to be something that the others don't seem to offer. Can you give us a bit of background for the consumer what it does and why it's useful potentially?
Yeah, look, the heat map just gives, I suppose, a bit of insight as to where people are searching and the information that is, I suppose, most popular, if you will. So that's something that we sort of introduced, and we're hoping to really try and invest and provide more information about that in the years to come, and hopefully that's a feature that people continue to find a lot of value in.
Yeah, well, I like using it on a regular basis just because it's a different point of view, I guess. So it's nice to have that extra feature there for sure.
When you said that, Pat, it made me think of the Predator, how he sees in heat vision. And I could see John's brain was ticking as well. He's like, oh, we can become a Predator.
Sure, why not?
If it's for sale, we can buy it. Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Oh, mate. I just want to... Now I've got CIAs pushing too many pencils.
I guess I have one last question for you just before we wrap up the show for today is how do you envision driving the platform and the website forward into the future?
Yeah, look, we've actually just closed on a capital raise for the business, so we're excited to get significant more investment back into Real Estate View.
Is that an exclusive for the Property Pod, just out of curiosity, or is that public knowledge?
Look, that's it's been closed very recently.
Oh, so exclusive! I'm calling it.
Information about that, so you can put that down as close to an exclusive.
I'll take it.
You'll take it. Look, we've gone out to our existing shareholders and managed to get that investment back into the business, which is really exciting. And you can expect to see, I suppose, a lot more from Real Estate View in 2020. We're going to be investing that into our audience and our marketing to really push that brand awareness and brand loyalty. We're going to invest in more people out on the ground. As I'm sure you guys would know, real estate's very much a relationship game. And whilst we've got a great platform and great data and insights, we need more people out on the ground, spending all their time with our agent partners and customers to really talk about that, understand what they're looking for in our platform. So a lot more people out on the ground. And of course, new tech developments and initiatives that we've got on the drawing board, that will be launched next year. So it should be a very, very exciting 2020 for us.
That sounds really exciting. I'm looking forward to it. And just so people don't forget, if you want to find the website, it's realestateview.com.au.
And there's apps you can get in the App Store, and it's all available. Jump on there, and it's
all available.
Yeah. Thanks so much for your time, mate. We won't wish you luck for the pies next year, but
deal with it.
But good luck with Real Estate View, and maybe we can get you on later in 2020 and see how everything's moved forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for having me on. It's been great. So have a great Christmas.
Yeah,
Thanks, Toby.
Cheers, mate.
As a family-run business, First National Real Estate McGregor understands that the property market can be stressful. However, with a strong team in both sales and rentals, we are here to guide you through the property maze. Find out more today at mcgregorfm.com.
All right, that was Toby from realestateview.com.au. That was a really good interview. I really enjoyed listening to Toby.
Yeah, it was good fun. And it's good to see the other websites that are out there. I think people get just too caught up on those originals, one and two sites.
Yeah.
And there's some really awesome features on realestateview.com.au that I didn't know existed myself. I found out a bit new today as well. So
And the heat map, the Predator map.
Yeah.
I was pretty happy with that.
But yeah, once again, thanks heaps for being on the show, Toby. Thanks, J-Mac. You wouldn't know people, but he's actually already left the studio halfway through recording. But hey,
what a slacker. But no, much appreciated. It's good to be back. Feel good to be back on the mics. And I think what we'll do next week is a Christmas episode.
Yeah, so it's going to be our last show for the year, our Christmas edition episode. It should be a bit of fun. So
yeah, we'll just have the boys on the desk, and we'll
the three of us. We'll put together a bit of a show, have a bit of fun. Hopefully you guys like it, and then we'll wrap up for the year and come back next year, which should be good.
Yeah, we'll work out kind of what type of break we're going to have, and then we'll come back with season 2, I guess.
Season 2.
Yup.
That sounds good.
That's where the stuff gets good. All right,
guys.
thanks, guys. See ya. You have been listening to The Property Pod, produced and edited by 414 Media House in conjunction with 414 Real Estate and McGregor First National Proprietary Limited.
This podcast is general information only, and the thoughts and views expressed is the opinion of our panel, and listeners should always seek then use their own investigation into any topic we discuss to ensure they fully understand their own situation.
It does not constitute and should not be relied on as purchasing, selling, financial or investment advice or recommendations, express or implied, and it should not be used as an invitation to take up any agent or investment services. No investment decision or activity should be undertaken on the basis of this